Many people love the idea of hosting a retreat until they learn it takes a little bit more, actually a lot more, than just booking a beautiful venue. The magic isn't just in the beautiful view, it's the entire flow of the event. It's the rooms where conversations happen. It's the container that the leader creates. It's the comfort of the rooms, even down to the sheets. It's all of these little details that makes a difference. It's where somebody leaves the retreat thinking, that was nice, versus that retreat changed my life. So before you spend thousands of dollars or months planning your retreat, you're going to want to hear from someone who's been doing this at the highest level for years. Hey, Shannon, how are you?
I am so good. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, and the last time I saw you, we were in Denver, Colorado.
I know. And you know what's funny is it was only maybe 2 months ago, but there's been like so much that I've traveled a ton and like all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was only 2 months ago that we saw each other. Feels longer.
It does. It feels a lot longer, and we'll get to this. But since that time, I've booked for my own 2027 retreats that I'm hosting, two of them in 2027. I've booked at the Retreat Ranch, which is a place that you own.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so funny because most of the ranch operations, if you will, goes through my team, but I still get copied on a lot of stuff. So I remember I saw your name come through and I was like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I cannot wait to see you here in person at the ranch.
Yes, and so let's go back a little bit from when I first contacted you. So, as many people know, I speak, I write. In fact, I just recently was consulted as an expert for an article for the Everly Girl about having a portfolio career.
Love it.
And, speak, write, now retreats, well, a podcast. And everything that I do and I dive into, I try to attach myself to someone who knows more than me.
Mm.
And, I have a great speaking coach. When I dove into that realm, my speaking coach, Craig Valentine, now with my podcast being revamped, I have an excellent producer, Podcast Impact Studios, and they know how to get this done. The writing, I had a writing coach at one time, and I work with a great publisher. And so when I decided to go into the retreat business and I realized, oh, this is a really good way for me to work closer to people. And also from there, I've started a membership program
Hmm.
for coaching. And this is just a natural flow to my business. So when I decided to go into the retreat business, I'm like, okay, who do I look for? Who can help me in this realm? And I don't know how I found you, what my Google search was, but I found you about, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months before I went to Denver.
Yeah, so that's how you know my SEO is working. But yeah, and you reached out and you wanted to talk about a retreat that you were planning. And I first want to just say that I am so excited for anybody who's hosting retreats from today and into the future. Retreats have always been such a powerful space to be in, no matter what your business is or what it is, whether it's spiritual, whether it's intellectual, whether it's creative, whether it's leadership. It doesn't really matter. Like it's such a great just ambiance, if you will, container, if you will, to go deeper into whatever that topic is. But it's going to be even bigger as I know I talked about this in Denver, I talk about it all the time, but as AI and digital world becomes so consuming, and it is,
Hmm.
the more and more people are going to crave, I mean, desperately crave in-person experiences. And so I'm just so excited for you that you've added that to your business model.
Yes, and I knew it was going to make sense for me. So I contacted you before my first retreat, which I hosted in the Frisco area, which is just outside of Dallas, back in March of this year, 2026. And I contacted you, and I believe I was in a state of controlled fear when I
Yes.
contacted you because I was, how do I advertise? How do I fill this retreat? I like to say I'm a calendar. I was in a former life, I was a calendar. So the organization part, the planning event part, that part is in my wheelhouse. I know I can create a good experience. I've done that with other types of big events. So that skill set comes in, but knowing how to market, how to reach somebody, how to convey what my retreat is and why it's different from the next,
Yeah.
and who my avatar is and what they'll get from it. That's what I really needed help in at that time. And so I looked at, you have a number of different offerings in addition to the venue itself. That's a separate business. But as far as coaching and helping people who are in my position, and I looked and I thought, I need a one-on-one. This is not like a webinar. This is not like a course at this point. I need a one-on-one. So our first meeting was a one-on-one coaching session, which helped me tremendously.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. So, and that's, as you know, I only do one-offs of those. My time is just divided up, and regular coaching is just not part of my business offerings. But I will do a big power session with someone because I do understand, you can honestly learn anything online. You can. Hell, you could probably learn how to do heart surgery at this point online, right? But there's nothing like having a conversation. And first and foremost, like this, a virtual conversation is great. And just being able to ask the questions and just even asking, what am I not asking you? You know what I mean? Like, what am I not seeing? What am I not asking you? So that to me is invaluable. And just having a really good power session, it's invaluable. And then, of course, my favorite is actually in person. I feel like anytime you can come in person, which you did to Denver, which is amazing, that is a whole nother level of energy, right? Because here we're together right now. We're going to talk. We're going to ask questions. We're going to get into some nitty gritty. But when you're in a room with other people who are trying to build something too, it actually changes the structure of your brain. It changes how you think. It makes you expand more. You're also in rooms where other people are doing the damn thing. And you're like, this is possible, right? And so that collaborative energy it's you do it in your business. That's just next level. So yeah, I was excited when you reached out because the other thing is you are so receptive to like tell me from a high level what you see in my business. And that is so critical because all you've been doing what you do for a long time. You are really good at what you do. And sometimes when we have done something for a long
Mhm.
time, we become very closed-minded, right? It's like, I can do the damn thing. But when you can be open-minded, and let me tell you, I'm a learner at heart, so I love learning from people. I learn
Me
from
too.
you. I learn from the people in the room in Colorado. I learn from my mastermind group. Like I learn from others too. When you can be that way and be open and receptive and put yourself in those spaces, those rooms or those coaching sessions, you're unstoppable, truly. Because
Mhm.
that's the way forward.
And one thing I didn't say, one of my reasons for, deciding, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to find somebody to help me because I know that you and experts in, whatever area that I'm looking for have been doing this and have made mistakes and costly ones. And I want to benefit from the mistakes you've made without having to go through the expense of doing it or the time, really the time of doing that myself. So, yeah, I can get to where I'm at after just one retreat. And maybe a few retreats later, I'll have it all figured out. But I don't want to do that. I want to have it figured out, as much as possible using your experiences, using things that didn't work for you without having to experience it myself.
I love that you said that because, when I started 15 years ago hosting retreats, I just jumped in and I made a shit ton of mistakes,
Hmm.
many of them very expensive. But the biggest mistake is exactly what you said, is not taking the time at the front end to find out what other people before me have done because our time is still way more valuable than the money we'll spend. Our time is always our most precious commodity. We can't make more time, but we can make more money. And so, yeah, getting ahead of those mistakes and like you said, as much as possible because you're going to get in there and when you're hosting retreats or any kind of in-person experience, you're dealing with personalities and heaviness and everybody's got their stuff, right? And so when all that stuff is coming at you in a space, there's going to be things that are just like you can't plan for. It just happens. But if you can get the back end of it, right? The the
Mhm.
operations, the marketing, the copy, the language, the SEO, the AI. Like if you could get all of that handled, then it's the rest of it is like much easier to address or to approach or to deal with, to be quite frank with you.
And so I have right now, I'm planning on 2 retreats a year. So I already have my 2026 retreat, which I is at another location in the hill country also. But I'm the one that's bringing things together. I don't have necessary access to the space until I'm there just a day ahead of time.
Mm,
I've looked at it as much as possible. I have a few vendors that are coming in that I've had to vet myself, and I'm looking at this, and it'll be fine. It'll go great. It was great in the spring when I did it in the Dallas area. And it made me realize that I am in the right space. This was a right business move for me. And this is where I could connect in a way that I can't from the stage when I'm speaking or I'm
yeah,
writing. So it
yeah.
feels like something I was made to do.
Mm,
That being said, I then, after Denver, I quickly, went to your website to look at your location. I thought, this is everything that I'm spending hours trying to put together myself in a
mm,
place that hasn't been tested. And I know how important space is. And maybe we can
yeah,
talk about that because what I also really like that was clear to me in Denver is that the experience is not just the agenda.
right.
The experience is so much more than that.
Yeah.
And even from booking the retreat, I received in the mail, I expected a little like care package, saying thank you for booking at the retreat ranch, but set the tone. So the tone
Mm.
starts even before the people, your guests come to the retreat. Why do you think the space is so important? And how can a space be used so that it creates a unique experience if it's the same space for
Yeah.
all these different types of retreats and groups that come in?
I love that. I think the first thing is making sure that the energy of the people there, right? So you obviously worked with my team already. You see kind of how we operate that way, our responsiveness. Like I will say, one of the biggest dilemmas when it comes to a venue or a space is responsiveness. To be quite frank with you, the space that we used in Denver, it was a hotel, so it's a very different environment than a boutique retreat center like ours, but the communication was terrible. And I just remember after we signed the contract, I thought within a month of just piss poor communication, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how this is going to go, right? And so we ran into hiccups that just were not dealt with in a timely manner, at least as far as I'm concerned. And so responsiveness is going to be so huge. And this is operational, right? So this is not the energy yet. We're just talking operational. For you as
Mm-hmm.
a leader, you need to make sure that the space that you are using is responsive. Are they, getting back to you in a timely manner? To me, it's, within a couple of hours on a business day, you should get some sort of response, right? There shouldn't be this 3, 4, 5 days later you're getting a response. That to me is absolutely ridiculous. So that's the first thing is operationally, how does it feel? How does the team feel? Do you feel welcome already before you even get there? Do you feel like they can't wait for you to be there? So that's the first step. Beyond that, it's the experience that they're going to have there, like your guests. So, a good venue will do two things for you and your guests. They're going to support you as the leader and make sure that you have everything you need and any issue that comes up is dealt with immediately so that you don't have to focus actually on the space. So, you get to
Mm-hmm.
focus on the guests, right? So, that's the first thing. The second thing is that your guests that are in that space that they also feel loved on by the venue and by the staff. And so when they're walking around that they don't see a staff member, pissed off and cranky and, whatever. I know it's just basic hospitality, but that's important. So making sure that the guests feel loved on and that we're so excited that they're there. So that's the other part. We'll call it that the hospitality. So you've got the
Mm-hmm.
operational, you got the hospitality. And then the last thing is what's kind of unique about the space, but it can be almost flow with whoever the host is. So, for instance, we have a tantric group that comes here. And so there's different things that we set up for them and that we get ready for them and we move around for them because we know that that's what holds their space well. And then we'll have, mini yoga groups that will come through. And so we'll do the little things a little bit differently. They add extra workshops or a different type of workshop or whatever may be the case. We've had creative retreats that come here. And so we're setting up rooms for them a little differently. It's just really being able to know that whatever you're bringing to that space, that they can hold that with you in some capacity and they can mix it up for you, right? So we have hosts that host anywhere from 2 to 3 retreats every year. We actually have 2 groups that host 4 retreats here a year. Some of it is, it's probably rinse and repeat for them to a certain degree as far as with their workshops. But when they come, they might add something different, right? So we have ceramics workshops, we have equine workshops, we have Western line dancing, we have, there's so many different elements that you can bring into the retreat. You can have a wine tasting event where they come to the ranch, or you can book a shuttle and go over to Fredericksburg. There's just all these different elements so that when people do sign up for your retreat, maybe they sign up for each one at the ranch, they're going to get a little something different. Obviously, they're going to be different guests. They're going to have a different experience in general because of the energy, but just a little something different that you can add to each time they come. So, yeah, so it's kind of all of those things.
That's such a great benefit because as I was looking at that, I mentioned I'm hiring vendors in, I've had to vet. And the vendors don't know the space, and
Right.
they're professional. For instance, I have a drumming woman. We're going to a drumming circle, and so she's bringing her equipment in. But there's a question about stairs. Where are the other houses? It's a big
Yeah.
property, so they're far away. But there's all these extra logistics that also the vendor coming in. If they weren't professional, you could be a little concerned if they're going to be able to operate in a new space.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is your vendors are vetted. They know the space. They know how to move around it, especially, some of the creatives, the yoga and all of that. They come in without the stressed out energy, whether, where they're going to put something. Can somebody hear them? Are there regulations regarding neighbors? Whatever it is, your vendors coming in, you can also be confident, the retreat leader, that they're going to know what to do as well, with probably, limited little direction compared to if it was a new space that you're creating with them. So that was a draw for me as well when I was looking at the following year and what I'm going to do. So I'm really excited. We are going to have another conversation next year at about this time so we can talk about the
Yes.
different experience that I had, and even my guests. I do a survey. I did a survey after my first retreat, got that back, of course, glowing reviews, but but it'll be
Don't
interesting
doubt
because
it.
you know what you know, and
Yes.
even if you get a glowing review at one place, you go to another, you're like, wow, I thought that was great. Hello.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that about our vendors because, listen, I built this space for me being a retreat leader. And sometimes you'll have some spaces that the owners or the people in the space, they've never held a retreat before. So they're more of just a boutique hotel maybe or some sort of boutique venue, which that can work out. It can. It just requires more work on your part, like you said. But for us, I was like, I want everybody who serves this ranch. They've either worked directly at this ranch or they come very highly recommended from someone we trust, but they still have to come to the ranch and see the ranch and tour the ranch and be at the ranch and be highly vetted by somebody that we trust. Right now, everybody on our list has worked at the ranch, so that's great. New ones are the ones that we have to really vet them out. But that's important to me. And even just all the little details, the types of sheets that we use. Like I want really nice bamboo sheets, the type of mattresses that we have, the different things that we offer. I want it a certain way because I know that's what I would want as a retreat leader. And as a retreat leader, you don't want to have to worry about all that shit. If I'm being honest, you want to just know that your guests are taken care of by the space so that you can take care of the rest. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I will. My last retreat, actually, this place, it was described as holding some crazy number in this one mega mansion, like 20 people, right? And I forgot, a billion rooms. And we get there, and we had 6 of us, and there were exactly 6 rooms.
Oh,
And if
wow.
I had gone any higher, somebody would have been in what they called a room, which really was like a storage closet. I mean, basically, a
Oh,
place with no, it wasn't meant to be a bedroom, and they had just
yeah.
thrown a bed in there. And so those kind of surprises, even, you do your research, you look at the pictures online. It's not the same as actually being able to get in there and checking it out. And I didn't expect that to happen. Luckily, it
Yeah.
wasn't an issue at all. But if I had really, tried to and was successful at filling it to a greater number, I would have felt terrible for selling somebody
Yeah.
that.
I will say that's really important. As much as possible that you can vet out a space. I actually flew to France a couple months ago to set eyes on physically the chateau that I rented for my France retreat next year. I will absolutely do what I can to be in person, or a trusted vetted source is the backup option, of course. But it's unfortunate when you find something like MySpace or retreat venue. I think it's much safer bet, at least.
Hmm.
But if you're doing any kind of Airbnb or VRBO, which by the way I don't recommend, it's technically not legal to do that. But if you're doing some sort of other third party search,
Hmm.
that stuff's not always correct. Like you said, they might have forgot something, or in their mind this is a bedroom, but it's like that's not a bedroom, or they don't care
Yes.
that a toilet's not working and they've had to shut down the bathroom, so there's only technically two bathrooms, not three, or whatever may be the case. And so, yeah, you have to be really, really careful with that.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that really stood out the forum in Denver, the talk about the venue and the space and the
Yeah.
issues, the legalities of the spaces you rent. And in fact, okay, so you'll have to check this out after the podcast because I have the 2027 retreat registration. It just went live on my website, which is sharileid.com/retreat. So if anyone wants to check out the available places to stay and the property, check that out. And Shannon, you could take a look at it and give me any advice if you think I need to change anything or add something.
You got it.
But people could start booking already for next year. And that's something else too. I think I need to send that to your team because your team also will promote the retreats that are happening at your place, which is an added bonus.
Yeah, so make sure you fill out, there's a form that we have so that you can fill it in, and that way our coordinator can not just get it listed on our site, which we spend SEO marketing dollars every month for our retreat landing page, but we also list it with the county and with the city on social media platforms. We have a huge social media following in our newsletter, all of that stuff just for added traction, added SEO. I mean, you can't go wrong when you've got that kind of exposure coming at your retreat. And so, yeah, please make sure you fill that out. I'm
Mhm.
definitely going to take a look at your site when we get off, but make sure you fill out that link so my team can get it listed for you.
Sounds good. Okay, what's coming up for you?
Well, I actually have, I don't know when the podcast is coming out, but I have my in-person mastermind for entrepreneurs who are wanting to do retreats here at my ranch next month in August. It's the 27th through the 30th. And I believe I have four spots left, 4 or 5 spots left. And so that's really cool. We actually have some speakers that you got to see. Erin is coming to do pricing and profitability. And we've got Sarah from Destination Legal coming to do legal. And then I've got some surprise speakers too, so that we really are going to spend some time digging. This one's way more intimate. You came to a bigger, conference. This is way more intimate. So we're going to get into each person's business, like individually. We get to work on each person's business. So it's pretty cool. So that's coming up.
Oh, I have to check my calendar. Okay, we will make sure this episode gets out before then. And
Awesome.
how do they reach you? How do they register for that? Find out more information about the retreat branch working with you?
Yeah, so just go to theretreatranch.com/retreats, and everything's listed there. All the retreats that are happening at this ranch. Hopefully, yours will be on there too soon. And then the mastermind is on there as well, or you could just direct message us.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me. And we do need to have this conversation next year after I host I believe it's April, the end of April to early May 2027, my first retreat at your place.
I cannot wait, and I can't wait to see you here.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, love.
What if connection was something you didn't just hope for, but something that you could create on demand? That's the promise of my new book, Flip the Box, a blueprint for human-centered leadership in a disconnected world, which launches February 2027. And we're launching this book with a 9-city nationwide dinner tour. This will be like nothing else. This is where conversations happen, where connection is made. It'll be an incredible evening, and we want you at the table because one conversation can change a business. One conversation can change a life. For more information, please visit sharileid.com/book-tour. Hope to see you there.